Okay, cool. So I'm just going to read out this because it's just your intro effectively. So and Dominic, the guy that does all the editing, he'll do all this as well. So I hate the first bit. I hate recording the first bit. Anyway, it's just I need to have that. Okay, action.
Director's cut.
Yeah. Okay. When I first chatted to my next guest, I was completely bowled over by her positive energy, her zest for life, and her incredible inner strength. My guest today is the most amazing Michelle Hoffmann. Michelle helps people up-level their relationships to attract, keep, and enjoy the right people in their personal and professional life. Michelle is a master life and relationship coach, helping people improve their relationship skills to live their lives the way they've always desired. Michelle is a two-time international best-selling author on love, personal and professional relationships. Whether it's the relationship with their inner voice, intimate partner, family, community, career, colleagues, or customers, her clients know how to attract, keep, and enjoy the right relationship in their lives. And now from her home in the USA, please welcome my guest, Michelle.
Nikki, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I love the zest and the positivity, and it's so true. I really want to share that with all of your listeners, just like you and I have been sharing that together.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I mean, our paths crossed just very recently through the powerful world of networking now. And I just found your story just totally inspirational, and it will just resonate with so many people. So I don't know where to start.
Well, what we were talking about, I think we were talking about blowing out the birthday candles on my birthday cake when I was a little girl. Is that where we were starting?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
I share that. Sure. So I know, and now I have kids, so I know that when we're little, there's a tradition of lighting the candles. And when you're the birthday kid, you close your eyes and you make like the biggest wish you could possibly imagine, and you blow out the candles on the cake. And I mean, I'm so curious to know, when you were little, what did you wish for? Do you remember?
I don't know, maybe a new bicycle.
Yeah,
or
bicycle.
like that. Yeah.
A bicycle is a really frequent thing to wish for as a kid. A pony, all the chocolate in the world, I've heard. Every single year since I was very little, I really wished for the same thing. And that is to grow up and be in a healthy relationship with a man who we would share our life experience together, and together we would make a family and invite children into the world. And it came true for me. It took a little longer than I anticipated it would, because I just thought it would naturally just happen one day. And I didn't know that you actually have to put a little energy into that to make it happen. And we met on a cruise ship. I went on a cruise with my cousin, and we were put at the wrong dinner table, at the wrong dinner seating, at the wrong everything. And my cousin and his best friend, and then suddenly I'm like, wow, who's that guy with the gorgeous blue eyes? And by the end of dinner, evidently he had a checklist for his dream come true partner. Mm-hmm. And somehow he had asked all the questions on that checklist, because he said, by the end of dinner, I knew you were the one for me. And because I had checked all the boxes on his list. It took me a little longer. That evening at the disco, he was brazen enough to kiss me. I did what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. I laughed. And of course, it's not what anyone dreams of when they kiss someone. But he was brave enough to ask, what's so funny? And I said, well, oh my God, my whole world has just changed. My life was going down the track this way, and now my life is going down the track toward you.
Yeah.
And that's what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman, right?
Yeah.
So that was really the beginning of this robust relationship. And we realized we were at the same point in our relationship cycle in life of what we wanted out of life. And our core values were aligned. And it was just magic and dream come true from that point forward. It was the two of us sharing life experiences together. And it wasn't like fantastically Facebook huge, large for other people's perspective. It was perfect for us. We built a home together. We welcomed children into the world. We built careers together. We built a life together. And really, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Until he died. And that I just didn't know what to do. I mean, we had our whole life planned. And we were going to share it together. And my landscape of what my future held was scorched. It was so painful. I thought I would never, ever love again. And here I am, head of household, sole parent, and you guessed it, single.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was not what I had set out for at all.
Michelle, how long ago was this?
This was in 2016.
Wow. Yeah.
When he passed. So this, it was like, well, now what am I supposed to do? And doing nothing, I realized, was not an option. Staying stuck in grief was not an option. And I figured out, although grief is complicated, ambiguous, and it roams the house and smothers the children at night, and when you're trying to get something done, your eyes blur with tears when you're driving, and grief will like slam your head against the wall, drop you to the kitchen floor, put its foot on your neck, and prevent you from seeing or breathing or realizing that there's a future at all.
Yeah.
And it's not until you invite grief in to have a cup of tea and a conversation about what does grief hold that has a hold on you so tight that you can't move forward, until you understand what that whole life experience meant to you and what you treasure from it and what you've learned from it that you can honor. And that's how grief can, or any life trauma or life transition, can actually help move you forward. So once I had that start, I figured out what needed to happen next. I project managed the whole thing. And then a friend of mine went out for a run, had a heart attack, and died. I thought, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And of course, based on the story I just shared with you, I actually do know what to do. So I went to his widow and said, this is never going to be okay. I'm going to hold your hand and walk this journey with you. Let's project manage this thing. So once again, I was project managing and figuring out when we were busy taking care of everyone and everything, who was taking care of us. And when we used to go to one person for everything, now who do we go to? What's my new board of directors equivalent in the professional world, which is now my advisory board? What needs to happen so that the children feel safe and secure, so that I feel safe and secure, and to the point where I can have fun in life, move forward, and understand what my next chapter of life and my next in my love story is going to be.
Yeah.
So I learned you can have more than one soulmate. I figured it out. I wrote the guide I did not have. That was one of my international best-selling books. People from all over the world were coming to me, not just widows and widowers, but people who were going through or have gone through divorces, people who have run into the same relationship challenge over and over again. And they're like, what is my blind spot?
Yeah. So many people do suffer from that. They're just kind of blinkered, and that, this is the way it's done. This is the way it's going to be. Yeah.
Well, if you don't have a role model, and so many of us grow up in families that we role model what we've seen, and then we find ourselves with the same result. So if you don't have someone who teaches you this, at home, in your family, or in a friend's family, or at school. There's literally, there are very, very few people who will actually coach you on relationshiping.
Yep.
And once you get it, you've got it. And what I learned is that all relationships go through the same cycle, from chemistry to casual to committed. And that could be on a microcosm, or it could be on a lifelong journey. And for example,
see, I was going to say, can you explain that?
Sure.
The chemistry casual to committed, because I think so many people do struggle with those three.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's not, it is just, I've, created this outline for people to make, finding your right relationship super simple and fun. And it just takes a few minutes a day when you understand the process. So just like the laws of attraction.
Yeah.
When you meet someone, and we'll take this as an example, but you could overlay it in every relationship in your life. What happens is, like, literally your molecules are coming closer together and getting excited, and it changes the chemistry in your brain and in your body. Your serotonin goes up, your endorphins are all excited, the oxytocin is amazing. When this is an exciting new experience, you've got this adrenaline rush that feels euphoric, like eating so much chocolate, like that birthday wish.
Yes.
I didn't put those two together before, but here it is.
Yeah.
So it could be a birthday wish of like euphoria of like, oh, I've just met someone and they are fascinating. And it is such a great adventure to learn about one another and explore one another and just have these experiences, knowing somebody is interesting and intriguing you and that you're interested. So this is the chemistry phase. And during this phase, we look for everything that's right. And it's just, it's amazing. Then what happens, and they're not like, start, stop, they meld into each other. From the chemistry phase, we move into the casual phase. And in the dating experience, this is when we start to anticipate what we enjoy sharing with one another. And as mammals, we actually enjoy routine to some level. We like to know that we can anticipate what to expect, especially if it's like an amazing kiss. And I'll give you another few examples. Oftentimes we'll go to restaurants. We like to go to the same restaurant and order our favorite dish because we know what we're going to experience and we like that experience. So the same thing is happening when we're connecting with our friends, with, intimate partners, family, whatever experience, holiday traditions. That's it right there. So here you're making a routine, a tradition, an experience that you're sharing that you look forward to anticipate. That's why we watch our favorite movies and read novels more than once. And with that, in this phase, there's a couple of critical things that happen. This is also the time when we start to think, is this person in alignment with my core values? And if so, then we may just move, this is the green light to move this relationship into a committed relationship. And it could be as small as, do you want to see each other once again? That's commitment. Yes. It could be, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend, or whatever permutation of that. Let's move in together. And all of those experiences throw you back into chemistry, because now you have a new role and a new identity. I'm seeing someone again. I am now the girlfriend. I am now, we are living together. We are fiancé. We're getting married. Now we're partners. Now we're married. Now we're spouses. Now we're inviting other people into our lives. Maybe we're parenting, co-parenting, and launching them. And then we're empty nesters. So whatever, we're always moving through these developmental phases in life. Okay, from chemistry to casual to committed. In that casual phase, something else is happening. This is when we start to look for, if there are not green lights, we're looking for yellow lights or red lights and red flags. These are the things that are outside of our core values. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you or this other person. It means that it's not a match. That's all. And dating is literally like going into a coliseum with your favorite performer performing, and you've got your ticket to your seat, and your right partner has a ticket to the seat sitting right next to you.
Yep.
It's your opportunity to have fun, enjoy the whole experience, but you need to get through this crowd of people and say, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, you're not it, you're not it, you're not it, to find your person. So when you see the yellow flags or the red flags, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It means that you're not in alignment, and this is not your person sitting next to you at the performance, who you might be journeying through time with.
Yeah.
And the red flags, are as important to know as the green flags of what are you looking for, as well as what are you not looking for. So from chemistry to casual to committed, now I help people between the ages of 35 and 85 find their right relationship in just a few minutes a day. It does not take any effort because it's so much fun. And when you've got somebody supporting you, then you don't have the fear of the dangerous dating pool, because you know what the green lights are and you know what the red flags are. So that is my story in a
nutshell. Yeah. So, it must have been so difficult to get back onto the dating scene, so
yeah.
How was that for you?
So getting back in the dating scene, well, first I hired a matchmaker, because really what I was doing was I was outsourcing my heart health to someone else. I learned a ton through that coaching, which I share with my clients as well, and from that experience. And my matchmaker said, you should write a book on this. And I'm like, haha, funny you say that. May I share all that I've learned? And he said, yeah, just give me the recognition for it. So I did. And I learned a lot about myself and other people. This was kind of the done for you service, where the matchmaker is going to find the person and deliver them to you. And I was like, I can't afford a bad date. My children can't afford me to be on a bad date. I, have only heard the horror stories. I've also heard, now I've heard tons of success stories, but at the time I'm like, how is this really going to work? And I just was like, I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too stuck in my ways. I'm not rich enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't have a fancy car. I don't have the right place to live. There were so many things, blockades that I could put up in front of me, that I was like, I'm just not going to do it. And so finally, what happened was I had one of the very few dreams that I'd ever had with my late husband in it. And I basically had to let go of him all over again. And I had some of our friends who are a couple staying with us, and I was so envious of little things like, oh, you left this in the car, honey, I brought it up for you, or holding hands, or sharing meals, just two different entrees and sharing them together, or co-parenting conversations, or having two incomes, whatever it was. I mean, oh my God, I could not believe that I had to, not have this. And as I didn't want to say anything to them, because I was so happy that they were still having this wonderful relationship. Yeah. So that night I dream about my late husband, and it was so painful to let him go again, that I realized, when the pain of the problem is great enough to resolve it, you will take action to resolve it. And that's when I went online dating the first time. Yeah. I did it like a business. I was going to figure this out. I was going to find my right person. I developed profiles. I had my friends help me. And you know what? Your mama doesn't know how to develop a profile for you, and your friends don't know how to develop a profile for you. And oftentimes you don't know how to develop a profile for you, because we're showing who we think we are rather than who we authentically are. Yes. And we really want to attract the right person who adores us for us, not come look over here at this shiny object. So I understood from all of my experiences initially in the dating world, organically in the wild dating, in real life, as well as online dating. And I'm just like, the rules of engagement have changed in the dating world.
Mm.
There was no one to show me, how do you do this now? So again, I had to figure this out and help other people through it. And what I learned was I have to figure out who I am authentically,
Yes.
so that I'm attracting people who will actually like me, who I am today, not who I used to be, but someone who I am today in my roles, my identity, my activities, and more importantly than anything, my core values. Because having activities and events and community in common are great, but all of those things change.
Mm-hmm.
How you look changes.
Yep.
Your core values, they don't change that much as much. So having complementary, they don't have to be exactly the same, complementary core values is totally key.
Yes, I totally agree.
Once I got that, I was like, I just need a one-click pivot of how am I going to approach this? And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a different stance on this, because I went in there thinking I'm going to find my man. Yes, I'm going to show everyone I know how to do this. And it took a little longer than I thought it was going to. And then once I understood what I was really looking for and how to represent myself accurately and appropriately, it became very easy and fun for me to quickly attract people to me and identify who is a yes and who is a no. And I understand that I am now relationship ready. I'm confident in who I am personally, emotionally, financially, legally, parenting. All of those things are stable. And I know who I am. And I can also identify other people who are relationship ready. So when you dive into the dating pool, you want to be able to know that, one, you can swim.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
two, you can see who else is an appropriate match for you and who might drag you down with them. Because you need to be able to be aware of those people too. So then you can go and have fun meeting people. And it's a fantastic way to meet people that generations gone by never had the luxury of, people who are self-selecting to say, hey, I'm actually interested in finding a long-term relationship just like you are. And there are people who are very clear about what they're looking for. If it's not that, also very helpful, because I'm not judgy. You can look, your dating strategy is totally yours. And I would help you support whatever it is that you desire. I have mine, might be similar, might be different. But that's just it. Knowing what you're really looking to attract, keep, and enjoy in your life, there's a big difference on what actually comes your way.
Yeah, you really have to own it, don't you?
Yeah, and you have to know what you're owning. If I have a client who she really wants to have children and with a partner, and her biological clock is ticking. I have several clients like this. There's just one in particular I'm referring to. And I said, so can I see your profile? She says, yeah. And she shows me, and we adjusted some things. And there, we don't know how to represent ourselves. I've changed things on profiles that have said, on line 3, I kick cockroaches out. You have 1/10 of a second to make a good impression. And how articulate are you? What level of education are you looking to attract, based on what you're saying there and the vibe that your images are presenting? I kicked cockroaches out, and she was surprised that she wasn't getting a whole lot of interesting attraction.
Sure.
I have another client who travels the world. She stays at the nicest hotels and eats at the finest restaurants. And she thinks nothing of spending $450 on a bottle of wine on a Tuesday. And her profile says, I like to travel, eat good food, and drink wine, which is true. And I'm like, is that your third grade What I Did Last Summer essay?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
she's so articulate and such a powerful presence in the world. So I'm like, I'll give you an example. I said, what if we adjust your profile to say, when I read the wine menu, I am transported to the heated vineyards of Bordeaux.
yeah.
And we
Mhm.
changed her profile pictures to represent who she is. So in this way, the men who are attracted to her actually don't mind spending more than $15 on a cocktail because they are going ahead and buying really nice bottles of wine on a Tuesday evening date.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
appreciates it, in a whole different way. So this client that I started to speak of, she's looking to be stable and have a lifetime partner who she can share children with. And we looked at her profile and her pictures. I had to ask her, so do you get a lot of invitations for sex?
Hmm.
Like just sex? And she says, well, yeah, I do. But her dating strategy is really to find a long-term partner who she can build a family with. And being sexually attractive and physically attractive is a great bonus on this.
Yeah.
But the pictures she had posted were outside of her core values, and they're outside of what she's looking to attract.
Hmm.
And her comment to me was, well, it's not as bad as the other girls. And I just had to like reel her in and say, we're not going to compare ourselves to anyone else. You are unique and extraordinary and fantastic and desirable. And you are ready to adore and be adored. So let's put the best version of you forward. Disregard everyone. There is no competition for who she is in the world. Zero.
Yeah.
And so we've adjusted her pictures to represent a woman who is absolutely stunningly gorgeous, like swimsuit cover model, beautiful.
Yeah.
And we kept one of those pictures and a really lovely picture of her, but dressed elegantly, like somebody would be like significant trophy wife. And you don't have to throw sex at someone to get attention, unless the attention that you want is when you throw sex at someone. So realize what you're asking for when you're putting those messages out.
Oh, no, that's awesome. My gosh, Michelle, you just said so many brilliant things about profiling. So, I do trial. I do go through a number of dating sites, and especially men. Guys, you really need some help out there. Speak to Michelle. You really do. Please put down that fish and smile and look into the camera. It really doesn't give you any justice whatsoever. But Michelle, please tell us about your books.
So I have 2 books out already. The third one is on the way. So the Life Worth Living is all about personal relationshiping. And it's my journey. And it's also a love letter to the widow who I went to go help. So these are all the secrets of how I pulled life together after an incredible life transition.
There's a great story behind that, though, isn't there?
There is. Do you want me to tell you?
Shall we? Yeah, tell us. Yeah, I love the story.
So here's how it goes. Here I am. I'm heartbroken. My husband has passed. I'm trying, and I'm like, now I need to bring in 2 salaries to support my kids and make ends meet. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do anything? And everybody's telling me you should really write a book. And I'm like, well, all of my writing has been business writing. And that's the secret of my second book, The New Management Blueprint, because all of my employees throughout the years are like, you've had such a successful book. When are you going to write the book we want you to write? So here I am. And I'm like, how am I going to write the guide I did not have and go get a really high-powered job? I mean, I was a portfolio manager. I was an executive at a medical publishing company. I was a social scientist at Stanford University. I know how to write. and I know how to get a job. Anyway, I was talking with a friend of mine, and I mentioned that people have suggested that I write this book because the messages that I have been sharing with people, they were finding meaningful and they could apply them to themselves in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to write a book. Obviously, I do now. So I'm talking to my friend, and she says, well, you should talk to my husband. He's written a bunch of books. And I'm like, okay, who's your husband? She says, Guy Kawasaki. I'm like, oh my God, Beth, I did not realize that your husband was the branding guru of the world. You know, he evangelized Apple Computer with Steve Jobs. I said, that's not actually how I choose my friends, but wow, what an invitation. Thank you. So I find myself at the breakfast table with Beth and Guy Kawasaki one morning. And I'm telling him the stories that basically that, you know, the early on stories that I shared with you.
Yeah.
And he points his finger at me and he says, that's your book. Write the book. And when Guy Kawasaki points his finger at you and says, write the book, you write the book.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a book. And so I'm driving home and I thought, oh, gut punch. Why? Why didn't I tell Guy Kawasaki I wanted to write a book about amazing food and orgasms I've enjoyed all over the world? And I'm like, oh, because that wasn't my life experience yet, but it will be. So I wrote this book. And then, of course, my publisher is amazed and thrilled with the success of it. And there's electronic copy, there's print copy, there's audibles, and she's sending me out on all these red carpets. And I'm on the red carpet for the first time. I am fine, I think. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's too many cameras. And I have to say the word orgasm. I panicked because I wouldn't want to offend anyone in any way. And it wasn't, I mean, I know what to say and not to say.
Yeah.
It was more, if someone else hears this, might they be offended? But you know, who's ever been offended by an orgasm?
Oh, exactly.
You really get perspective here. Anyway, when the interviewer was interviewing me, I literally just froze and left my body because I was so fearful. And I had to, again, figure it out. And the message I talked myself through in my head, you can kind of see it on the camera. My friends would know I was nervous. Nobody else would really notice. And I'm just like, if I am going to help people and support my family doing it, I just have to go help people and support my family doing it, even though it's hard. So I got back in my body and I told him everything I've told you today.
Oh, Michelle, that was fantastic. So how about this new book that you're writing?
So the new book I'm writing is Find Love Now and how to do it and how to make it fun. It's all about dating, and it's all about all the people that I have helped. I mean, now that I'm doing this professionally, because people have come to me, what was happening during the pandemic, you know, we're all having these happy hours, virtual happy hours. And there were so many women one day saying, I wish I had a partner right now. And I'm like, why aren't you online dating? Online dating's amazing. And they're like, well, it could be life-threatening because of the pandemic. And I'm like, you can still do so much within the confines. I was literally doing movie nights and quote unquote virtually going to the theater. And we would have 3-course French meals delivered to each of our homes.
Cocktail nights, you know, master.
Oh my God, we did so much. I was having an incredible time dating, even though we weren't seeing each other. And at that point, you know, it was like, you really need to know this person is going to be a good, strong candidate, because there was so much at risk. But these ladies on this happy hour call, they were like, we're online dating and look who we're attracting. And they put their phone up to the screen. I'm like, oh my God. Don't go out with that guy. He's going to chop you up before he's done with you. What does your profile say? Do you want me to help you with that? And that's how this really became a robust business for me. I thought everyone just knew how to do this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what I learned was it does not always come naturally. Even though you are successful professionally, it doesn't mean you naturally have the role models, guides, tools, and skills to find the right relationship for you to enjoy your entire life journey with. And life is sweet and life is short. It's too precious to miss out on the joys of sharing these experiences together, to know that together you will face all of it. So that's when I started to put together a whole coaching arc of how to attract, keep, and enjoy the right love in your life. And it was so simple. And people were like, can we bring our friends? Can we bring our friends? Well, yes, of course you can. I'm happy to help you with all of this. And so now they're all having these incredibly lovely, wonderful relationships. I've got weddings with the right couples together under my belt. I've got a couple of impending engagements. I have people who were so fearful of the dating pool that we started meet them where they're at, where they're comfortable in the relationships, with your inner voice, with your body, with yourself, with your family, your community, your career, your relationship with any of those things. You start there, and then you start to see what kind of relationship contributor you are and who you would like to bring into your life, so that you can share that the way that you want to share it. And, so it is so amazing in my group of my cohort of employees, of clients, where we all share stories together, and everyone in the group can see where they're at each chapter of their life and of their love life. And it's just so gorgeous to be able to watch somebody's growth. And if someone's at the beginning of this journey, due to being on the heels of a loss, a divorce, a breakup, or they've never found the right person, knowing who they're looking for and seeing everyone else in the group actually share their story and how they're making dating fun. And they're learning so much about interesting, fascinating people and about themselves, so that then you can see this beautiful relationship arc. And so no matter where you are in this group, people can see not only where they're going, but then they can acknowledge how far they've come as well. It's gorgeous, because life is better with good love in it.
It is. You cannot beat it at all. Oh, Michelle, this has been really, really interesting. I just love the path that you've been through, and that you're really, really helping so many people as well. Just the fundamentals by, looking at the law of attraction all over again. And so how can we get hold of you?
Super simple. Come to theartofrelationshipping.com. And at theartofrelationshipping.com, there's all kinds of free resources. You can come and learn about how to develop an online profile that really works. You can find out how to get copies of my book, and you can even schedule some time, and you and I together can figure out what is your relationship challenge and what's your dream come true, and how can we help you get there. So just theartofrelationshipping.com. That's all you need to know.
Oh, that's so, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And thank you. Thank you. And also thank you for all the listeners today. As always, if you've enjoyed this podcast and you do have a moment, please do rate and review the podcast. Your feedback is really valuable and helps us spread the word about our work. So thank you again, Michelle, and I'll hopefully I'll speak to you again very soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. I look forward to sharing all that I've learned with your listeners so that they too can enjoy amazingly wonderful relationships.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.